Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon. So there is a question, interesting question of now that we see that this wasp. I need to give it a name actually. I don't have a name for it yet. Hornet or wasp. I'm not even sure what it is. Just a quick reminder. It looks like that. So maybe we should start like a name competition. If you have any kind of like idea what could be its name, I'd gladly get suggestions, and I will also think about a name for it. Taking into account its unique properties. I would say it's most like distinct property that I know of is the fact that it's extremely durable for an insect. Its body is unbelievably more durable than any body of an insect that I ever seen in my life. So and it's a flyer. Of course, it doesn't fly very quickly. Actually, it's a heavy flyer, I would say, like a tanker bug. And it flies not among the quicker ones, I would say. And it's yellow and black, and it's got like this huge tail that is connected to the body with like a very thin strand that is almost like invisible because it's so thin, but it's incredibly strong. You cannot. It's very difficult to actually separate the body from the tail. I didn't do it this kind of thread that connects them. It's almost visible, but it cannot. I cannot cut it with a Japanese knife. So it's made out of extremely strong. Not just metal, but a strong metal, I would suggest. So the question is, what exactly of the symbols that I created, that I placed in the crucible, prompted the Neros to create it? Now we should remember that in the past that they have created, in several occasions, or at least started to create insects that were also pretty big, certainly visible by the naked eye, but of manifestly of different kind. We didn't catch a living example, but we definitely saw. We've definitely seen a dead one. This one, this is actually a photograph that they've taken after a day when it was starting to decompose. But even this one is enough to see that the bone structure is different. This insect was, some said that it's kind of like a bat insect because it's got a very peculiar and unknown in Earth bone structure and limb structure that is not known about of insects, but maybe more of bats. And it was more bony, it has a more this one had more bones and peculiar structure of the bones. Now of all the symbolic components that I messed with, recently there wasn't something that this is another the photograph of the bony insect. So the one, the only thing that somehow resembles something from this insect, like the yellow jacket metallic one, is maybe these ones that somehow, can maybe you can say that, it kind of like looks like looks like the tail, but it was this is a temporary like it wasn't placed in the crucible because it was wrapped with clay. Just it was a temporary like creation. And also maybe we should mention my cutter and my plier that are yellow and black, and maybe you can say that somehow looks like a flyer because of like the a little bit, maybe, I don't know, like both my cutter and my plier are like that, yellow and black. But still, it's not a good, we don't have like a good answer. But so I'll tell you what I think. What I think is that actually, in this case, the Neros did not create, unlike in the case of like the insect, the bat insect. In this case, I'm starting to think that what was created in the crucible and probably still created is not actually here. Just to remind you how it looks. So this is how the crucible looks when it fires, and it's lighted like that many times and for quite a bit of time. So it burns. It burns. For a lot of time. So yes, of course. So another property of this insect is for certain that obviously it's fire resistant. Certainly so, and probably it can resist like tremendous heat. So this is how it looks like. This is how the crucible looks like. During one of the later fire. Before just when I started to this is when I started to like one of the later fires. You can see there is kind of like an additional layer of beeswax from that is heavily that very rich in Neros and all sorts of like life forms from one of the metal containers. And one of the things that maybe you can see here is this one here, like this, where my thumb. So because I placed 3 like small, kind of like things that look like eggs, like that are made of like so it contained like a drop of my semen, and also a little bit of the contaminated juice from the aquarium with all sorts of life forms and Neros, wrapped with like in a little bit of toilet paper, and all of that wrapped in aluminum foil. This kind of structure, I use it a lot, to create the eggs, like the many eggs. But mostly what I do is that I wrap it after that with several layers of clay, natural and synthetic. But these I made 3 like eggs like that without clay, just that are much smaller and are just aluminum foil eggs. So I made 3 of those and put it and I placed it in the crucible. And what I tend to think now is that they were interpreted by the Neros as just what they are, eggs, because they look like eggs and they have this the metallic out and they are wrapped in metal. So obviously they should symbolize a metallic life form. And what I think that now is that most probably the Neros have created eggs. Like maybe this one, this was taken from the crucible. Like this photograph is from the crucible. After one of the later burnings. I always thought it's a Nero, but in irregular shape. But maybe it's an egg. I don't know. Does it look like an egg? Tell me. I'm not certain. So So yes, we have various videos from the crucible, and of course we can create more. Maybe I'll do it today. Like this is how the eggs look. This is like the way the eggs look without the clay, like the clay wrapping, but mostly they are wrapped in clay like that. So, but I placed 3 like small ones, as I said, without the clay wrapping. So I tend to think that actually actually what we had, like probably what's going on in the crucible is that the neurons creates the eggs, not the actual fly, and the fly hatched from the egg, and maybe this is it's a more efficient process to create life forms, because they don't need to work on the eggs, and then the eggs hatch, and so they start small but they grow. So yes, first thing that you should do is to search for the eggs in the microscopic example, and we already have a few videos. And again, maybe this one is this example of an egg, and I need to keep search for the more types, but you can also tell me if you find things in one of the later videos that I published that looks like eggs. It's going to be interesting. Now we have this kind of this have several implications. Like first, it means that what I actually have eaten, probably, because recently in the last couple of days I've eaten 3 sandwiches with mustard and olives, but also a paste from the crucible. It mostly was taken from I take it mostly from I squeezed it from the charcoals that are in there, because honestly, because that means it's the least because I know that it's oily, and everything that's oily contains neurons, and it's the charcoals are the least disgusting things that are in the crucible, because honestly it's really disgusting. Even after a serious fire, there are all sorts of things that are very disgusting in this thing. But beside the fact that it contains a ton of life forms that are fire resistant, and also huge robots. I mostly ate it because I thought let's eat the robots, because I know that you were doing it for so long, like all of you, and you like it so much. So I thought to myself, okay, no, what the heck? Let's eat it myself, because I've actually never, until these 3 days, recently, I'd never eaten it actually. Only as I said, last Passover, this April, I've eaten symbolically, I placed a very, very, microscopic drop on a matzah and eat it, as part of a symbolic ritual, but I've never eaten it. And you always eat it for so long, so I thought maybe eat it. And I thought, okay, so let's take it from the crucible, because it contains huge neurons, and I thought the neurons are the good stuff here. And also because probably maybe I would rather eat synthetic microbes than biological microbes. Even though of course the neurons in my body can handle biological microbes. That's what they do all my life. Certainly, but kind of I have more, I don't know why, but I have more kind of a more I'm repelled more by biological stuff than synthetic stuff. I guess that for you, the Homo sapiens is the other way around, but I'm not certain. You tell me, and it's interesting to know what's the Titan's positions and on the mother. What's more disgusting for them? I know that in general they are not really disgusted by many stuff. They have quite they had high threshold of being disgusted by stuff. So maybe they are not disgusted either by the synthetic life forms or the biological life forms, but I would assume that for Homo sapiens, they would be disgusted more by the synthetic variants. But I assume that the synthetic variants are not dangerous for me. It's more kind of feeling. I would say that I don't have a proof for that. And of course that, I mean, the crucible, I mean, after all the fires, I mean, it's hard, it's difficult to, I mean, to assume that, I mean, something biological would, I mean, resist all this fire. But, I mean, we do know that synthetics are, I mean, some do, I mean, mostly don't, I mean, and you see that, I mean, with each fire, there is actually less life forms. So, I mean, even they, I mean, I mean, after so much fire, I mean, they are, you know, and I mean, I mean, these microbes, their heat resistance is not like, I mean, infinite. I mean, you can see that, I mean, like, I mean, with each, like, a subsequent, like, lightning, I mean, there are less of them, but they do, I mean, they do survive tremendous heat. And so I've taken, like, mostly from the charcoal, which is the less disgusting of all. And I tried, like, to squeeze, like, the oil, because the oil contains, like, them from, the oil is the best medium to preserve the neurons. But what I think now is maybe, I mean, unintentionally, I actually, I mean, eaten, you know, ikra sandwiches. You know what's ikra? Ikra is like, I mean, it's a cheap, kind of like fish eggs, like, I mean, but not like caviar, but it's kind of cheap paste that is made out of fish egg. It's like, I mean, you know, it's called ikra in Israel, and it's kind of like, I mean, so it's, I mean, something that you put on sandwiches. So maybe it was like that. Maybe I've eaten not only Neros, but also the kind of like, I mean, the paste that is made of eggs of this kind of like yellow jacket that we need to still to find a name for it. If so, I mean, I'm not disgusted by it. I mean, maybe, I mean, I can even get used to it. Like, I mean, and, you know, eating eggs is less, like, I mean, a moral issue than eating like the sigin itself. Even though, I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, some cultures they eat insects, but this insect is, I mean, is like, is literally made of metal, and it's like, so I don't know. We need to think about it. And I promise that I'm not going to hurt them for now. Like, even if they enter my room, and, you know, yesterday one entered my room, so like I let it, like, I mean, you know, I let them live their life. But I mean, regarding the egg, like the ikra, I mean, I have no moral qualms right now of eating it. So maybe I'll prepare another sandwich later today. But also I will first start another fire, because just, you know, to kind of like sterilize the crucible from all the, like, I mean, maybe biological stuff that I found its place into it, because, you know, it's outside, like it's on the window. So maybe I start another fire, and also take microscopic examples, and maybe make another sandwich. By the way, I know that, I mean, some of you don't understand why I do not continue with the Three Sisters fairy tale. It's just that, I mean, I don't have the moon. Like, I'm so angry. Like, I mean, you know, I'm being tortured in this place for so long, and like every day, and you know, and these cops that, I mean, you know, and why am I always under, like, investigation, and always false accusation that presumably that I went to Shoam, and it's not true. I haven't been there, like, since December, and like, and you know, the people in the apartment that, I mean, with their cruelty, and I do not understand why people, I mean, abroad do not move arms and legs to get me out of this Nazi prison. I mean, why do we need to continue this charade, like, of, you know, more like social worker reviews, more, you know, the problem is that, I mean, that you want me to be your slave, and I do not want to be your slave. So why do we need to continue this kind of, like, I mean, charade? So, I mean, I honestly, I don't have, like, I don't have the inclination, like, to speak. I mean, even though, I mean, of course, this is an interesting fairy tale, and certainly, I mean, there are like 2 hours left to, I guess, like, I mean, of narration, of slow narration. Maybe I'll find the energy to speak about it later. I don't know. So, by the way, I mean, regarding what you see here, like, this is, I mean, these are, I mean, So you already know these objects, so they are painted white, I mean, completely white, which of course, it's kind of like, a way to kill it, like to eliminate it. But the question, is what is the scale of this model? Like, it's something small for certain. Like, it's either something that, it's microscopic. Like, what you can find on this table. Yes, these are microscopic things. But it's not necessarily like red blood cells or white blood cells or microscopic like worms that can live in your body. It could also mean something that is even smaller than that, like in the subatomic level, even like maybe subatomic particles or like strings, like things like that, or kind of like things that are so small that humans even don't know about. Like and of course that the writing of such things means like complete destruction of of whatever these things are inside of. Like it basically means that it tells the neos like to delete the fabric of reality of like of whatever container that that is symbolized by this table. Like this integration of not only the molecules but also the atoms themselves. Can the neurons do it? I suppose they can, yes. How? I don't have any idea. But it's interesting, like always to think about the scale, because as I've said in the past, with the neurons you should also always remember that their scale is even like sometimes smaller than the what we consider microscopic or even nanoscopic. Their scale is sometimes in the subatomic level, and I've discussed it in the past, and it's very interesting. So just regarding the eggs, of course, the fact that presumably they were hatched from eggs is very encouraging, because it actually means if we so there's a question of like can they multiply, and I would assume that of course they can. Why shouldn't they? But maybe you are more skeptic because humans have the tendency to think about like non-carbon based life as like not a living thing, or thing that cannot even multiply, and we know that for so long, and maybe up to now, it was so common like among the Israelis to think that even like the Titans cannot multiply, which they are humans that look they look like just like you, and they have sex, and and they have males and females, and of course they can multiply. And even regarding them, it was very common, like of course it was common because of like because of cruel political agenda. But be that as it may, it was so common until our time, and maybe until now, I don't know, maybe it's still common among the Israelis and the Titans in Israel and the corporators abroad, like to think that even Titans cannot multiply. So, and of course they can. They do, and of course they do it by sex. But because of that, I understand that humans have like this kind of tendency to think that that things that are not carbon based presumably cannot multiply, or can only be created in factories or things like that. But so the fact that they were hatched from eggs is of course another kind of like proof, if anyone needed one, that like even the metal yellow jackets can certainly hatch from eggs, and which means and presumably this should be like proven as well, but it's another step at proving that these are viable life forms. And most certainly they many of them are actually now roaming like the Tel Aviv or the vicinity or the cities, and maybe even laying like new batches of eggs, hundreds at a time, like wasps. And maybe we'll see like a great surge in the population of these creatures, without like the need of the neos and by crucible. And of course it will be another proof for you that non-carbon life forms are able to multiply, and just like carbon-based life forms. And of course it will be great. Like the they are very friendly. I mean, especially towards me. I mean, they're really. I mean, the interactions that I had with these like yellow ones was very positive. Like, I mean, they fly very gently, like, and try to like get into my vicinity, but in a non-hostile way. And I mean, and they are slow, so they are. It's kind of like, I mean, friendly, you know, because they are slow, because they are very heavy. They are extremely heavy. Like, I mean, for their volume, like, and compared like to like other, I mean, like insects of the same size, they are extremely heavy, so they don't fly very quickly. So it's kind of like, I mean, it looks friendly, like when they fly like next to you. Yeah. So there is, of course, there's the question of like, I mean, maybe, I mean, how do they affect? Would they affect like the ecology? But I tend to assume that only in a positive way. But I mean, this is yet to be seen. So yes, again, I'm if anyone like can suggest like a nice name for them, then I mean, please go ahead, because we need like probably we're going to see many more of these like all over the place, so maybe we should like get a name for them.